Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome to part 2 of our F1 2013 career mode with Lotus. And today we go to the Malaysian Grand Prix, which is quite a big Grand Prix in the grand scheme of things in terms of, well, the last 10 years you could argue. It was the home of the famous Multi-21 incident with Mark Webber and Sebastian Vettel. Now, this is the game version, so we're going to pretend that never happened, but if we do pretend it happened, it was a pretty big thing for the context of Formula 1 and the relationship between Webber and Vettel, and of course was probably one of the reasons that Mark Webber retired at the end of 2013. But last time out we were in Australia. That's always good. Controller disconnected just before we get underway. It's always the best day to start a video. Last time out we were in Australia, and in Australia we finished 11th. We had quite a poor race really. We qualified I think just in 10th place, didn't we? And we had a decent start, but the tyres went off and we basically buggered up the tyres and we had to come in the pits and had a lot of ground to make up before the end of the race. So 11th place was a pretty good result in the end. But Malaysia, it's quite a circuit I like. Obviously one I haven't raced at in F1 cars for a long time. I have raced it a few times in motorbikes, so it'll be interesting to see what the carryover is from that. But without any further ado, I'll stop yapping. Of course, Kimi finished 7th last time out. It's the Constructors' Championship, looks like. So Mercedes are dominating at the moment. They had a 1-2 in Australia, and yes, I might have buggered it up in saying that it was Mercedes' first win, just completely forgetting that Rosberg won the 2012 Chinese Grand Prix. Yeah, we'll gloss over that. But anyway, it is time now for the next Grand Prix of the season, which is the Malaysian Grand Prix. Now I'm mucking about in this first session, then straight out there with low fuel on the option tyres. I know that's probably a bit of a scapegoat, but I just want to do one lap, get through to Q2 safely, and then use a pair of primes. A pair of primes? A set of primes, a pair of primes, I don't know what I'm on about. A set of primes in that session to get through to Q3, just so in the race we can go with something a little bit different in terms of strategy. The usual four then drop out of Q1 of the two Marussias and the Caterham, and it's a Toro Rosso, Verne and Gutierrez from Sauber who joins them. Now we did our one lap on the options, it puts us in 6th place, which doesn't look too bad until you realise that everybody down to 8th place did their times on prime tyres. But bear in mind, I suppose that's our first lap of the weekend. I'm going to try and get into Q3 on primes to try and do that. Actually, I don't know whether it was back in 2013, the tyres you ended Q2 on that you started the race, or the tyres you qualified in Q3 on. Probably worth having a read up about that. Well, here we go. I don't think we'll have to worry then about any sort of option or prime run, because it seems it is raining out there. Now, everyone's on track on the options, so it might be worth just heading out really quickly on a scrub set of options to see if it is wet or not. If it is wet, we're just going to have to come straight back in and go for the intermediates. But this session's really going to be all about who can get out there quickest and set a lap time. That's an interesting line for the McLaren to take there of Perez. But it's not raining yet, it doesn't look like. It might well rain later on in the session, but as you could see for Q3, there's a definite chance of rain. So even if we have to use another set of options, really we should have just used the second set of options rather than a scrub set. But never mind, we're out here now on them, and let's see how we get on. As you can see now, the rain has started. Oh, for goodness sake, this bloody controller once again, dearie me. Right, the rain has started, but we have got through the session in 8th place on those option tyres. Quite a way behind our teammate, really, but not to worry, we are through to the next session. As you can see, Vettel and Alonso, well, they were spread quite thinly, I think it's fair to say. But two Brits out in Q2, quite a surprise to see Button out once again, out qualified by Perez. Both Force Indias gone, both Williams and a Toro Rosso. So into Q3 is a Sauber, both Lotuses, both Ferraris, both, just the one McLaren even, both Mercedes and both Red Bulls. But it looks like it's going to be a wet creek Q3, so this could be exciting. Yeah, nobody was joking about the weather, have they? In like 15-20 minutes, it's turned from a lovely day in Malaysia to a cesspool of monsoon, horrible conditions. As you can see, I think everyone's picked exactly the same time to come out on track. There's about a cluster of 8 or 9 drivers ahead, as you can see. Probably not 8 or 9, because there's 2 behind us. It's probably about 5 or 6 drivers. And it's really just a case of whoever can set the most laps, whoever can get the lap in whenever it's driest in the session. Hence why I put a lot of fuel in, which might be to our detriment if it gets wetter throughout the session. But, you know, it's always worth a try. And someone's strategy works, and in the rain, a lot of it is usually about luck. Well, I think that first lap can only be described as, well, dreadful. We've been put to the back, and we clearly just don't have the pace in the wet weather. I mean, we've got a dry setup on, that probably might be helping. We've had no experience in the rain. We've got more fuel, but equally, it's a driver thing. We can't exactly start blaming it. Well, it's the track's fault and all that, which haven't got the pace in the wet. A repeat of last week then, really. As you can see, last on the grid in terms of the top 10. Bit of a shame, but we were way off in the wet, so there's no point setting lap after lap after lap. But a poor session for Mark Webber and Mercedes with a 1-2. It's almost like 2019. It's like yesterday it never happened. It's lovely and warm again, but luckily we get a good tyre choice, which makes me think we must pick our tyres when we do our Q3 run. So we're starting on the primes. That's a lot to get through with the 5 lights going out, and we are away for the Malaysian Grand Prix, the second race of the season. Now, a little bit like Australia, not getting the best start. It's not surprising really with the likes of Jenson Button starting behind us, but just trying to get into the first corner nice and safely. Mark Webber having quite a poor start, leaving way too much space over on the outside, but a little bit of a twitch there. That was not very good. But Suttle's managed to weave his way around, which is pretty impressive. But in fact, he's trying to be really aggressive on Jenson Button, and the two nearly take each other out. So one place lost at the start. Jesus Christ, that a Ferrari going off into the gravel there. It looked like it was. But up the inside of a few there, it's a fantastic corner. And Jenson Button has had a fantastic start. We're going to try and follow him through the Ferrari of Felipe Massa. That's easier said than done. But what we're going to have to do now, because we have started on the prime tyres, is that's pretty much where we're going to get up to, I would say, for now. We can push, yes, we can push, but ultimately, the other drivers are now in clean air. We're not going to be able to catch up to them, realistically, unless they make a mistake. A little bit like Massa did there. So, we are just going to have to sit here, defend, wait, etc, etc. That being said, the Red Bulls has gone off tracks. That might help us to gain a little bit out the corner, but not massively. But that is surely not. That's a Sauber in second place. I know this happened in real life. The year before with Sergio Perez in 2012, but a Sauber in second in 2013. God. Oh, here comes Kimi up the inside. He's not going to go for it though. I haven't really said anything after the first lap, I suppose. So I better update you. Well, to be honest, nothing's really happened. Kimi's got past Felipe Massa, as you can probably guess, but he went for the move there, couldn't make it stick. If it was Kimi, if he went for the move, as you can see, we were quite open for him to overtake, because anybody else would have blocked them, but for Kimi, again, we're on, oh, for goodness sake. I do play with a playing charge kit, and I do think it's on its way out, so I might need to buy a new one at some point, but they're not exactly cheap. But anyway, yeah, if it was anybody else trying to overtake, we would block them. But we are on this prime tyre strategy. A lot of people are on options, hence why the top 6 are pulling away at the front, but based off our pace from the Australian Grand Prix and catching up to the drivers in our second stint on those prime tyres, I'm pretty confident for this one that when we get on the option tyres later on, we can catch up to the leaders. Oh, hello! We've got a crash between Hamilton and Alonso. What has happened there? I knew there was a yellow flag and Hamilton had been relegated to 7th place. But I wonder what's happened there between those two. Of course, we can't look at what's happened between the two of them. But it'd be fascinating to see what has happened. Of course, they're in close combat. I presume they've come out the corner and hit one another. So we've been promoted up 2 places. I'll certainly take that. And we've pretty much everyone come into the pits, I would guess now. Massa's tried to make a move, hence we've got the Kers on like mad. But he has got passes on the straight. Not going to focus on much of a move to get back at him, because we will have the DRS on the straight. That's if he doesn't come in the pits. No, he hasn't come in the pits, so I think everybody else is coming in the pits though, and we've got DRS on him this time, so he won't be laughing come the end of the straight. But because everybody else, bar myself and Massa, the front runners are all in the pits, then we are up to second, and with a move on the brakes, just got to keep it nice and calm. We lead our first race on F1 2013. Way! I realise this hasn't been the most action-packed so far, but that's because in this next stint, it's going to be pretty action-packed. This first stint was just working towards trying to get a good gap and a good time in able to come back into the pack at a decent level. Now, 8th place and 9th place is where the rejoin is hovering about. I reckon it's probably going to be 9th place, give it the benefit of the doubt. My pessimistic attitude will say 9th place. Now, we were in 7th place before we took the pit stops, but I'm quite happy to be relegated by 1 place just to make sure that, well, not necessarily to make sure, I don't know what I'm on about. If we're relegated by 1 place, at least we'll be on the new tyre compound so that we can have some sort of advantage from it. But let's see where we come out anyway. It's still astonishing that Nico Hulkenberg, on merit, is in 2nd place in this Grand Prix. Something you'd never see, really, in real life today. Now, hopefully 8th place is where we do come out. Just going to try and take the most aggressive run into the pits possible. Now, that run wasn't too bad. It wasn't like the first race where we were just completely way off in terms of the Australian Grand Prix, where we were slipping and sliding everywhere within 4 or 5 laps of our first stint. So let's see how quick the pit stop is. Hopefully it's a quick one. It gets us out nice and quickly and in the quickest time possible. That's the most important thing. Now, of course, everybody else is now on the prime tyres, and with less fuel, we should be able to see what we do on the options. But we've got a big gaggle of cars here. Go, go, go! Oh, 10th, 11th. Oh, no. This hasn't ended well. To be fair, it must have been a good 2 seconds. That was it. That we were blocked for, but we're going to have to get past this pack, and Kimmy's been relegated to 10th place, and I don't know how that's happened, but we need to get past these drivers really quickly, which is why I said on the last lap, this is going to be the interesting part of our stint, because given we're now on the option tyres, we should be able to not necessarily fly past these people, but get past them quite quickly. Bear in mind, they're on partly worn prime tyres. Most of these guys coming in on lap 6, so their prime tyres will be 3 laps old, so we're just going to have to be really aggressive and get past these before they pull away, because our pace isn't that good. We can't be superior than everyone. So hopefully the option tyres, their performance compared to the primes will make a difference. We are going to try a bit of a kamikaze move on Alonso here, even though we probably come from too far back. Yeah, that was probably too far back. But Alonso's not someone who usually gives in. But we're on the outside line. Is he going to stick to the inside? No, he's going to give us his position. So we're up to 9th place now. Hamilton, Perez just up the road. I think if we can get past those two, I'll be quite satisfied. But there's somebody else up the road as well. So it could be a maximum of 6th place here, just to make sure, though, that we don't burn our tyres out too much. Because we did conserve our primes quite nicely, but we don't want to burn out these options by lap 12 and all of a sudden start losing pace. Perez and Hamilton having an almighty battle into the first corner, trying to shove each other out. Oh, we nearly got Perez, but a tap will do it. Perez just put off by the tap. He's going to stay up the inside. Got to give him room, but I think we've got round the outside of him quite nicely there. But Hamilton trying to push Perez out of the way. And compared to the first race, and to be fair, it's a surprise that Hamilton is down here. I know he spun earlier, but he did lose a few places at the start. I think he was 4th place, wasn't he, after the start, where considering he started in 2nd. So not the best weekend, really, for Hamilton, but it seems like, I mean, Rosberg's leading by quite a bit. You wouldn't think that Nico Hülkenberg in that Sauber would have the serious pace to pull off a race win. So it could well be 2 from 2 for Nico Rosberg. Jenson Button seems to not have much pace, although Hamilton is sliding about in front of us. His primes must be wearing off, or he must be pushing that hard that he's not getting much traction out of the corners. But we've got Hamilton just ahead, then Jenson Button, and there must be the Red Bull of Mark Webber in 5th place. Now, I do wonder whether we've already seen the peak of our tyres in those 2 laps. We have pushed them pretty hard. But maybe here we could be able to get up to 5th. This is usually our strong section. So let's see if we make any sort of ground up on the 2 Brits, of course. It's the 3 Brits running 6, 7 and 8. We had plenty of battles with these 2 in 2012, even though Hamilton, of course, was in the McLaren car in 2012. Of course, alongside Button. But a bit of time gain there in that little bit. Into this corner now. Button really holding Hamilton up. And oh dear, Hamilton nearly just taking Button out. And Hamilton's had a bad exit. And that should be Lewis Hamilton dispatched. Although it was ironic that Hamilton actually gave the touch to Button. But Hamilton might have had a bit of front wing damage there. It seems he's fell a long way behind all of a sudden. So that tap, yeah, I reckon he's got some front wing damage. But that's a silly move from Lewis Hamilton, really, into that corner. Maybe a bit frightened that we're behind him. I don't think Lewis Hamilton's the kind of figure to get flappable like that. But a bit of a move onto his compatriot Jensen there. Must have tapped his front wing. And that's P7 for us. Now let's see if we can go after Button. Now let's see into the final corner. What's the gap going to be? Are we going to be able to get DRS onto the start-finish straight? It is a bit of a wonder. And yes, we do, just about. So we've obviously made that gap up a little bit. And what is the gap? It's just over a second. So it must have been just under a second as we came out of the corner. But let's see if we can get past Button. Just over 2 laps to go there now. A little bit wide to that last corner. That might give Hamilton a chance. But in that lap, we did gain quite a fair amount on Jenson Button, getting our gears completely wrong there. That could give Hamilton the strength he needs to get back past us. Just trying to push him out a little bit, but he's not going to be phased. I reckon we should have the braking power, though, into this corner to get past him. To be fair, he's keeping it pretty wide into that corner, but we just cover the inside line and get past Hamilton once again. But Jenson Button, preferring a bit of a wily figure really ahead. He's almost teasing us because he's only just ahead, and he just starts to pull out and come back in at different points. But regardless, the 7th place finish, starting down in 10th, and we're all aware that, yes, Hamilton and Alonso went into each other, and yes, therefore, you know, we would have probably only got 2 points. But you have to benefit from what, you know, what the situation throws at you. So 7th place and 6th, which we're trying to go for. The tyre's looking pretty burned out by now, so we've got to be careful that we don't completely blow them out and cause a puncture and lose what we've got altogether. But I think I'm going to be aggressive enough to try and go for this move on button. Another good lap here. We don't want to muck it up going into this last corner like we did at the start of this highlight that you guys saw. So I want to keep it nice and composed. Only half a second behind our fellow Brit now. So just get a good run through these corners. I'm guaranteeing that Button's struggling on these primes. But equally, we are starting to struggle on the options now. But the option is usually the fastest time. Bear in mind it gives a lot more grip than the prime does. Yep, definitely close to Button than we were. But that one bad corner and one bad exit can mean everything. As you can see, Button's probably pulled out all the gap he had before. So we've got to get DRS here, which we will, because we are close enough to him. Go on, that's not a bad exit, to be fair. Oh, I just can't get the traction out of the exit, and that's the problem. Button's keeping it, you know, Button's fine out of that corner. He's not losing any time. So although over the lap we're gaining enough time, we're just not gaining it out of the corners. So it's either going to have to be a stupid kamikaze move, which I think Hamilton's looking at doing here, but hasn't been successfully doing so. Oh, that's a warning not to get on the curbs, I think. But Button is so close, you can almost touch that Claro Video rear wing. God, the first year from McLaren without the Vodafone sponsorship. They had some weird sponsors. But as you can see, Hamilton's trying to go for this 8th place. Not enough for the Brit here. That's a good exit out. Well, a good entry, but it just can't get the exit out of the corners. Feels like our entry speed is brilliant and we gain in the corners, but then all of a sudden our exit speed is so poor. It's almost the opposite of my driving style on a motorbike. You know, on a motorbike we enter the corners nice and slow and get a good exit, but it seems in a car that my temperament is to get the opposite. Now, we've got very few overtaking opportunities now to get past Button before the end of this race. I mean, yes, 7th place would be a fantastic finish, but it's nothing compared to that extra 2 points of getting 6th. Come on. Oh, I just think he's too far away now. It's going to have to be a kamikaze move into the last corner, I think, with the power of DRS. We're looking pretty good, to be honest, at the moment. We're going to go for it here. Have we come too far back? Oh, that's not a bad... Well, we've gained time there, definitely on Jensen. Nico Rosberg wins the Malaysian Grand Prix. Just try to get as much speed as we can, as much momentum, as much slipstream. Got to watch the guys behind as well, but Button could be taken here. We've got him into the last corner. Bit of a block pass. Don't spin, don't spin. Oh, we've kept it grounded. That's fine. But Jensen Button out of nowhere keeps 6th place in this Grand Prix. Alonso takes Hamilton at the last corner. And I don't know how, but we have just about finished in 7th place. That exits the last corner. We have practically spun it. We had to lock the wheel the other way just to keep it on the straight and narrow. And we do finish, as you can see there, in 7th place. A good 6 points for the team. Hulkenberg relegated outside the podium place. That's a little bit of a shame. But as you can see, myself and Raikkonen fairly close now in the championship. And the constructors now, unbelievably, still with Mercedes by 24 points down to Ferrari. Not the best start for Red Bull either. That's a bit of a surprise. Mark Webber and Vettel not doing too well out of the first 2 races. But a very mixed bag, as you can see, from 7th to 2nd. The driver who's dominating things so far, though, is Nico Rosberg in that Mercedes. And that is a pretty big shock. I don't know about you guys, but to me, it is a pretty big shock. But the team, for once, finally happy with what we've done. It was a tricky race to get to 7th. But I think the ground we made up at the start with the good moves we made at the start and the Hamilton-Alonso crash, and equally our pit strategy to go from prime to option and take those guys out to Quinn out of the pits was a very good strategy. So, a good race, all in all. 6 points, we'll take that, definitely. And we have beat Kimi for the first time. And Nico Rosberg, well, 2 in 2 for Rosberg. That's quite amazing. Can he make it 3 in 3 at this next Grand Prix in China? But that will be on Wednesday, folks. I hope you guys have enjoyed the video today. As you can see, a bit of rain on Friday, but nothing on for Saturday and Sunday, so no rain expected there. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I've been TIJ Game, and remember, I'll be back on Wednesday for the next episode of the Chinese Grand Prix. But until then, I hope you've had a good day. I hope you had a good rest of your day. I've really enjoyed your company with this Grand Prix. Thank you very much for watching. I've been TIJ Gaming, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye for now.